The holographic display flickered to life in the underground command center on Luna, Earth's moon. The blue light cast strange shadows across Admiral Kim's face as he sat at the metal table. His hands folded calmly in front of him. Around him, other officers watched the screen with growing tension. The alien that appeared was unlike anything most humans had ever seen. Veldar stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body made of what looked like living crystal. Light moved through his transparent skin in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. When he spoke, his voice was like breaking glass, cold and sharp. Primitive species designated human. The translation software turned his alien words into flat, emotionless English. I am Ambassador Veldar of the Galactic Enforcement Council. I speak for 47 civilized worlds. Admiral Kim's dark eyes never left the screen. He had been expecting this day for months, ever since human scouts first encountered Council ships at the edge of their territory. The other officers in the room shifted nervously, but Kim remained perfectly still. You have committed crimes against galactic order, Veldar continued, his crystalline features showing what might have been discussed. Your species expands without permission. You build weapons without oversight. You refuse to acknowledge your place in the natural hierarchy of civilized races. On Earth, President Park watched the same transmission from her secure bunker beneath Sol. Her cabinet members whispered among themselves, but she raised one hand for silence. Her weathered face showed no emotion as the alien ambassador continued his speech. These are your crimes. Veldar's voice grew colder. Unauthorized expansion beyond your birth system. Construction of military installations without council approval. Development of faster-than-light travel technology beyond your species' designated level. Refusal to submit to proper galactic authority. What the ambassador did not say was more important than what he did. The council was afraid. For the first time in their long history of conquering primitive worlds, they had encountered a species that might actually fight back effectively. Humanity's recent discovery of quantum fold technology threatened the Council's control over space travel. If other species learned they could build their own faster ships, the Council's empire would crumble. The Galactic Enforcement Council has been patient with your species. Veldar continued. We allowed you to spread to nearby systems. We ignored your aggressive tendencies. We hoped you would learn to behave like civilized beings. Admiral Kim's fingers drummed once against the table. It was the only sign of emotion he allowed himself. Around the solar system, hidden sensors were already tracking the Council fleet. 200 warships hung in space just beyond Pluto's orbit. Their weapons pointed toward Earth. They thought they were hidden, but human technology had been watching them for hours. Our patience is ended, the alien ambassador said. You will cease all military expansion immediately. You will dismantle your defensive installations. You will submit to Council oversight and accept our guidance in all matters of technology and expansion. The demands were exactly what human intelligence had predicted. The Council wanted to strip away everything that made humanity a threat to their power. They wanted Earth's people to become another conquered species, grateful for whatever scraps the Council chose to give them. You have 72 standard hours to comply. Veldar's crystalline body pulsed with cold light. If you refuse, the consequences will be severe. 200 Council warships wait to enforce our will. Your primitive weapons cannot match our technology. Your people cannot survive orbital bombardment. President Park's jaw tightened slightly, but her voice remained calm when she spoke to her advisors. Continue monitoring. Say nothing until I give the order. Back on Luna, Admiral Kim studied the tactical displays that appeared around the main screen. The Council ships were arranged in what military textbooks called standard intimidation formation. They expected humanity to see their overwhelming numbers and surrender immediately. They had made their first mistake. We do not wish to destroy your species, Veldar said, though his tone suggested he would not particularly mind doing so. Comply with our demands, and you will be allowed to exist under Council protection. Your people will learn their proper place in galactic civilization. The alien's image flickered and stabilized. Behind him, other Council members were visible. Dozens of different species, all united in their belief that humanity should kneel before their superior wisdom and power. Refuse, Veldar concluded, and your world will burn. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command centers in heavy silence. Admiral Kim sat motionless for several seconds, then reached for his communication device. All department heads to the war room in 30 minutes, he said quietly. Priority Alpha protocols are now in effect. Around the solar system, hidden defense platforms began their startup sequences. Human ships that had been pretending to be simple cargo haulers started warming their true weapons. Scientists in secret laboratories made final adjustments to technologies the Council didn't know existed. The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. They expected fear, panic, and quick submission from a primitive species facing impossible odds. Instead, they had given Earth's greatest military minds 3 full days to prepare the most devastating surprise in human history. The trap was about to be set. 37 minutes after the alien ultimatum ended, the most powerful people on Earth gathered in a room that officially did not exist. The war room beneath Geneva was carved from solid rock, hidden 300 meters underground. No satellite could spy on it. No alien scanner could penetrate its walls. President Park's hologram shimmered into existence at the head of the long table. Around her, the images of world leaders and military commanders appeared one by one. Prime Minister Jin from Korea, Chancellor Wang from China, President Lee from the Pacific Federation. Each face showed the same grim determination. Admiral Kim was physically present, having taken a high-speed transport from Luna Command. He stood beside a massive display screen showing the alien fleet positions. 200 red dots hung in space beyond Pluto, like drops of blood against a star field. Report, President Park said without ceremony. Dr. Lee, the head of Earth's Advanced Defense Research Division, stepped forward. His tablet projected detailed images of the Council ships into the center of the room. Standard Council warship configuration. Each vessel approximately 800 meters long. Primary weapons are plasma cannons capable of melting through 10 meters of steel in seconds. Secondary weapons include kinetic bombardment systems that can crack continents. The holographic ships rotated slowly, showing their sleek, predatory design. Energy shields protect each vessel. Based on our analysis of previous Council attacks on other worlds, these shields can absorb tremendous amount of damage. How much damage? Admiral Kim asked quietly. Enough to survive direct nuclear strikes, Dr. Lee replied. The Council has conquered 47 worlds using this exact fleet configuration. No species has ever successfully resisted them. General Park, no relation to the President despite the shared name, leaned forward. What about their tactics? Predictable, Kim answered before Dr. Lee could respond. They always position themselves in standard intimidation formation, maximum visual impact, overlapping fields of fire, easy communication between ships. It's designed to terrify primitive civilizations into surrender. Defense Minister Choi smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. They're positioned exactly where our war computers predicted they would be. The room fell silent as the implications of those words sank in. President Park's eyes narrowed slightly. Explain. Project Heimdall has been active for 18 months, Choi continued. 147 automated defense platforms, hidden throughout the outer solar system, each one disguised as mining equipment, research stations, or even asteroids. New images appeared in the holographic display. What looked like simple space rocks suddenly unfolded, revealing massive weapons batteries. Innocent-looking research stations shed their outer shells to expose military hardware that belonged in science fiction movies. The platforms have been watching the Council fleet since they arrived, Admiral Kim reported. Full targeting solutions on every enemy ship. They still don't know we can see them. Dr. Lee pulled up another set of displays. Our ship capabilities have been deliberately hidden. For the past 2 years, every encounter with alien scouts has shown reduced performance. We've been running our engines at 60% power, our computers at half speed, our weapons at minimal output. The holographic Earth fleet looked pathetic compared to the Council Armada. Small, crude vessels that barely seemed capable of reaching their own moon, much less fighting an interstellar war. The aliens believe we're barely capable of interplanetary travel. Kim continued. Their intelligence reports describe us as primitives with crude chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. They have no data on quantum fold drives, no knowledge of our particle beam technology, no understanding of our shield systems. President Park studied the tactical displays with the patience of someone who had spent decades in politics and war. Casualties? Minimal. If our calculations are correct, General Park replied, the Council ships are powerful, but they're designed for attacking helpless worlds. They've never faced coordinated resistance from hidden positions. And if our calculations are wrong, the President asked. The room fell quiet. Everyone understood what she was really asking. If humanity had misjudged the alien capabilities, Earth would burn within hours. Then we die fighting instead of kneeling, Admiral Kim said simply. But we won't be wrong. The Council has grown lazy from centuries of easy victories. They see a primitive world and assume it will fall like all the others. Defense Minister Choi activated another display. Phase 1 begins in 68 hours. We broadcast our surrender message. Request negotiations aboard their flagship. Standard delaying tactic that makes us look desperate and buys final preparation time. Phase 2, General Park continued. They move into standard occupation formation. Closer to Earth, weapons train on population centers. Guards down because they think we've already given up. Phase 3, Admiral Kim's voice carried the cold certainty of a man who had planned every detail. We show them what humanity looks like when we stop pretending to be weak. President Park was quiet for a long moment, her holographic image flickering slightly as secure communications processed her thoughts across the planet. Finally, she spoke. This plan depends on perfect timing and absolute secrecy. One mistake, one leak, one system failure, and billions die. Yes, ma'am, Kim replied. And you're confident we can pull this off? The Admiral's expression never changed. The Council made one critical error, Madam President. They threaten our children. There's nothing more dangerous in the universe than humans protecting their families. President Park nodded slowly. Execute the plan, and may God help us all. The holograms began disappearing one by one as world leaders returned to their duties. But the real preparation was just beginning. 71 hours and 59 minutes after the alien ultimatum, President Park stood before the cameras in what looked like a hastily prepared broadcast studio. Her usually perfect appearance was disheveled. Her hair was slightly messy, her suit wrinkled, her hands trembling just enough for the cameras to notice. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she had not slept since receiving the Council's demands. Behind her, advisors moved frantically between computer screens and communication panels. Papers were scattered across tables. The lighting was harsh and unflattering, making everyone look exhausted and defeated. To any observer, this was clearly a government in panic, scrambling to avoid total destruction. People of Earth, President Park began, her voice catching slightly. She paused, seeming to gather courage before continuing. After careful consideration of the Galactic Council's ultimatum, we have reached a difficult decision. Aboard the Council flagship, Ambassador Veldar watched the transmission with satisfaction. Around him, other Council members from dozens of alien species observed humanity's surrender with the bored indifference of predators who had seen this scene countless times before. Continued resistance would only lead to the deaths of millions of innocent people. Park continued, her voice growing steadier as if she was forcing herself to accept the inevitable. We will not sacrifice our children for the sake of pride. The President's image flickered, as if the transmission was struggling to maintain connection. She looked directly into the camera, her eyes carrying what appeared to be barely controlled desperation. We formally request a diplomatic meeting aboard your flagship to discuss terms of our surrender. Perhaps we can reach an arrangement that preserves some measure of human autonomy while acknowledging the Council's rightful authority over this region of space. Veldar's crystalline features actually formed what might have been a smile. Another primitive species accepting their proper place in the galactic order. The Council had expected this outcome, but it was always satisfying to watch it happen. Admiral Kim appeared beside President Park, his normally crisp uniform wrinkled and stained. His face showed what looked like barely concealed panic, mixed with bitter acceptance. When he spoke, his voice carried the tone of a military man forced to accept impossible odds. The human defense forces are prepared to discuss the immediate dismantling of our outer system installations, he said, referring to notes with shaking hands. We recognize that our defensive positions may appear threatening to the Council's peacekeeping mission. The performance was perfect. Every detail had been rehearsed for hours. The trembling hands, the exhausted voices, the desperate attempt to bargain for mercy. To the Council, it looked exactly like every other surrender they had received over the centuries. We have civilian populations on Mars, Europa, and 17 smaller colonies, Kim continued. These people have families, children who were born in space. We ask only for assurance that they will not be harmed during the transition to Council oversight. What the Council members could not see was a real command center, buried deep beneath the broadcast studio. There, the actual military leadership watched their performance on secondary screens, while monitoring the true situation throughout the solar system. Hidden weapons platforms completed their final targeting sequences. Cloaked human ships moved into position, using stealth technology the aliens had never encountered. Quantum fold drives warmed up in preparation for impossible maneuvers that would bring devastation from angles the Council could not imagine. We understand the Council's concerns about our recent technological developments, President Park said, returning to the main camera. Our scientists have been overly ambitious in their research. We are prepared to share all technical data regarding our faster-than-light experiments. This was the bait the Council had been waiting for. Veldar leaned forward, his crystalline body pulsing with anticipation. The humans were offering a hand over the quantum fold technology that had started this crisis. It was better than he had hoped. We estimate 6 hours to prepare a suitable delegation, Admiral Kim added. Our most advanced transport will be ready to bring our negotiation team to your flagship. We ask only that you allow us this time to prepare the necessary documentation. 6 hours. Just enough time for the Council to move into standard occupation formation. Just enough time for them to position their ships exactly where human computers had calculated they would place them. Additionally, President Park's voice grew even more desperate. We have prepared a complete inventory of our military assets. Ships, weapons, defensive installations. Everything will be transferred to Council control as a gesture of our good faith. The alien commanders exchanged satisfied looks. The humans were not just surrendering. They were offering to do all the work themselves. It would be the easiest conquest in Council history. What they could not know was that every word of the broadcast was being transmitted across human space using quantum fold communication networks. Secret colonies that officially did not exist received the coded signal. Hidden shipyards that had been building vessels in the shadows of distant asteroids began their final preparations. We await your response, President Park concluded, her image flickering again as if the signal was weakening. Humanity places itself at the mercy of the Galactic Council's wisdom and justice. The transmission ended, leaving the Council flagship in pleased silence. Veldar turned to his tactical commander, a massive creature covered in chitinous armor. Move the fleet into occupation formation, he ordered. Standard pattern around the third planet. Begin preparing for the surrender ceremony. As the Council ships began their stately movement toward Earth, they had no idea they were flying directly into the most sophisticated military trap in human history. In 68 minutes, they would discover what humanity looked like when the mask finally came off. The Council fleet moved into position with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. 200 alien warships arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around Earth, their weapons aimed at major cities. Ambassador Veldar stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the blue planet turn slowly beneath them. Primitive world, he muttered to his tactical officer, a creature covered in dark scales. Their surrender message showed proper fear. This will be over quickly. The alien commander was right about one thing. It would be over quickly, but not in the way he expected. At exactly 72 hours after the original ultimatum, something changed. The mining asteroids scattered throughout the outer solar system began to move. What the Council had dismissed as simple space rocks started unfolding like deadly metal flowers. Lieutenant Commander Zacth was the first to notice. "Sir, we're getting unusual readings from the asteroid belt." Veldar barely glanced at the displays. Probably human mining equipment shutting down. They know they won't need it anymore. But Zacth's scaled face was turning pale. "Sir, these aren't mining operations. The asteroids are their weapons platforms. Massive ones." The first revelation sent shock waves through the Council fleet. Hidden among what they thought were lifeless rocks, humanity had built a network of automated defense stations. Each one was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that should not have existed. Then the research stations revealed their true nature. Innocent-looking scientific outposts shed their outer shells like snakes shedding skin. Underneath lay military installations that made the Council's own weapons look primitive. But the real shock came when the human ships appeared. They didn't decloak. They had been invisible to every sense of the Council possessed. One moment empty space. The next moment filled with vessels that moved like living shadows. Sleek, predatory shapes that seemed to bend light around them as they glided through space with impossible grace. "Impossible," Veldar whispered, his crystalline body flickering with disbelief. "Our intelligence reports said they barely had chemical rockets." Admiral Kim's face appeared on every screen throughout the Council fleet. Gone was any trace of the desperate, defeated commander from the surrender broadcast. His voice carried the cold certainty of someone holding all the cards. "You gave us 72 hours, he stated, his tone as flat and emotionless as winter ice. "We gave you the same courtesy to position yourselves exactly where we wanted you." The tactical displays throughout the Council fleet lit up like carnival rides. Human ships surrounded them from every direction, above, below, port, starboard. The aliens found themselves trapped in a perfect sphere of overlapping weapons fire. "Your fleet is now surrounded," Kim continued, his image rock-steady despite the chaos erupting around the Council formation. "You are outgunned, outmaneuvered, and completely at our mercy." Veldar's bridge erupted in panicked alien voices. His tactical officer was shouting readings that made no sense. "Sir, they have weapons that read as pure energy. Their ships are moving faster than our computers can track. Their shields are showing power levels beyond our measurement capacity." The human admiral's next words cut through the noise like a blade. "In case you're wondering, yes, we've been recording everything. The galaxy will know who delivered ultimatums to a peaceful world and who chose to defend their families." The first human weapons fired, but not at the Council ships. Brilliant beams of light lanced across the bows of the alien vessels, missing by mere meters. Warning shots that demonstrated power the Council had never imagined possible. The energy readings were impossible. Each human weapon fired with the force of a small star. The missed shots continued past the Council fleet and vaporized several large asteroids in the distance, turning solid rock into glowing gas in seconds. "Choose quickly." Admiral Kim's voice remained perfectly calm despite commanding what was clearly the most advanced military force in known space. "Surrender now, or discover what happens when you threaten humanity's children." Ambassador Veldar stared at his tactical displays in growing horror. The human fleet wasn't just superior. It was so far beyond Council technology that resistance was meaningless. His ship's most powerful weapons would barely scratch the strange, dark hulls of the human vessels. But it was a positioning that truly terrified him. The humans hadn't just built better ships. They had planned this engagement with mathematical precision. Every Council vessel was caught in crossfire from multiple angles. Every escape route was blocked. Every tactical advantage the aliens thought they possessed had been turned against them. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender demands from the human fleet. They want our weapons powered down, and our shields lowered within 60 seconds. Veldar looked around his bridge at the faces of aliens from a dozen different species, all united in their shock and fear. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years through superior technology and overwhelming force. They had never encountered resistance they couldn't crush. "Sir," the communications officer pressed, "your orders." The ambassador stared at the tactical display, showing human ships moving through space like hunting wolves. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering that made Council technology look like crude tools built by children. For the first time in his long life, Veldar understood what it meant to be completely, utterly outmatched. The trap had sprung, and there was no escape. The battle lasted exactly 47 minutes. When the weapons finally stopped firing, space around Earth looked like a graveyard. Burning wreckage drifted where proud Council warships had once threatened humanity's home world. 60% of the alien fleet was either destroyed or floating dead in space, their hulls cracked open like broken eggs. Ambassador Veldar's flagship survived, but barely. Emergency lights flickered across his bridge, while damage reports poured in from every section. His crystalline body had lost its bright glow, now dim and cracked like old glass. "Status report," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the sparking electronics. "Hull breached in 12 sections," his tactical officer replied, his scaled hands shaking as he read from damage displays. "Life support failing. Weapons offline. Shield at 7%. Around them, the surviving Council ships hung motionless in space. Their crews were too shocked to move, too stunned to process what had just happened. In 47 minutes, humanity had destroyed the most powerful fleet in galactic history. But the real shock came next. Admiral Kim's flagship emerged from the battle with barely a scratch on its dark hull. The human vessel moved with deadly grace through the debris field, its weapons still glowing with residual energy that could have finished off every surviving alien ship. Instead, it stopped. "This is Admiral Kim to all surviving Council vessels." His voice cut through the static of damaged communication systems. "You are free to leave, but first, you will take a message back to your masters." Veldar stared at his communications display in disbelief. The humans could destroy every remaining ship with ease. Why were they showing mercy to enemies who had come to burn their world? President Park's image appeared alongside Admiral Kim's on every functioning screen throughout the surviving fleet. But this was not the desperate, defeated leader from the surrender broadcast. Her voice carried the quiet authority of someone who had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "We never wanted this fight," she said, speaking not just to the broken alien fleet, but to the countless recording devices now broadcasting across known space. Humanity sought only to explore the stars, to find our place among the civilized races, to learn from those who came before us. The tactical displays showed something that would be talked about in military academies for centuries to come. Human ships were pulling back from the disabled Council vessels, forming an honor guard around their enemies, instead of moving in for the killing blow. "You brought weapons to our home," Park continued, her voice growing stronger. "You threatened our children, demanded our surrender, promised to burn our world if we refused to kneel. But even now, faced with your defeat, we choose not to become the monsters you expected us to be." On his damaged bridge, Veldar slowly understood what he was witnessing. The humans had not just defeated the Council fleet. They had done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had won decisively, then chosen restraint over revenge. "Let the galaxy know," President Park's voice carried across space to listening stations on hundreds of worlds, "that humanity claims our rightful place among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as equals who refuse to be bullied by those who mistake mercy for weakness." Admiral Kim's image stepped forward, his face as emotionless as ever. "Your intelligence was wrong about us. We are not primitive. We are not helpless. And we are not alone. While you prepare to destroy us, we prepare to defend ourselves." New images appeared on the communication screens. Human colonies that the Council had never detected, hidden shipyards that had been building vessels in the shadows of distant worlds, defense networks that stretched across dozens of star systems. "We have been watching you for years," Kim continued, "learning your tactics, studying your weaknesses, preparing for the day you would finally threaten us directly. Today was that day." The Admiral's next words sent chills through every alien who heard them. "The next time anyone threatens humanity, they will remember what happened here. We do not start fights, but we finish them." As the human ships began shepherding the surviving Council vessels toward the edge of the solar system, Veldar realized the full scope of their defeat. This had not been a battle between equals. It had been a carefully planned demonstration of superior force, followed by calculated mercy. Commander Yun approached Admiral Kim on the flagship's bridge. carrying casualty reports on her tablet. Final numbers, sir. 17 human ships damaged, mostly minor hull breaches. Total casualties, 43 wounded, 0 dead. Kim nodded without surprise. And the Council fleet? 120 ships destroyed or disabled. Estimated casualties in the thousands. The survivors are requesting permission to retrieve their wounded from the wreckage. Granted, Kim replied immediately, and provide medical assistance where needed. As the last Council ship limped away into hyperspace, carrying news that would reshape galactic politics forever, human vessels resumed their expansion into the stars. But now they moved with a different purpose. The galaxy knew that Earth's children would not be intimidated, would not surrender, and would never again kneel to those who mistook kindness for weakness. In the depths of Luna Command, Admiral Kim watched the alien fleet disappear into the darkness between stars. The message had been delivered clearly. Humanity was no longer prey. They were predators who chose to hunt only those who threatened their pack. The rules of the galaxy had changed forever.